Intersection Magazine Podcast.
We're focusing on Celo Uganda, and I'm thrilled to have as a guest Umar Sebyala Bukenya. He's Celo lead for Uganda area region, and was actually instrumental in community engagement and the creation of strategy for blockchain in Uganda for the pandemic. That's in 2020. Has a lot of stuff he's done, a lot of noteworthy milestones. So I just wanted to spend some time with him, having had a conversation with Celo Kenya. That was last year. Those of you who were listening or who have access to the podcast know that we interviewed the ambassadors in Kenya and just kind of got a feel of what they were doing there. A bit of background is I met Umar at an event in Uganda, which he hosted. He hosted the Kenya lead, he hosted the Nigeria lead, he hosted a technical representative also from Nigeria, as well as a bunch of developers who were creating solutions using the Celo platform. And then through some interactions with him, I met the Kenya team and was able to get a little bit more information about what they're doing. I've used the Celo coin, the Celo USD, received payments through it, so I'm familiar with some of the systems that they have going. And I wanted to learn a little bit more, but of course you can't learn unless you're engaging. So I'm really thrilled to have him as a guest to explain how, as a leader for the Celo Organization in Uganda, what his approach is and what his experiences are. So let me give him a few minutes to introduce himself, and then we'll dive into a few questions. Over to you, Umar.
Thank you, Nicholas. It's quite a pleasure to be on this podcast, and nice to talk to you again. Looking at everything that we've been able to kind of put into the intro there, that's pretty spot on. Maybe just a bit of an update. I finished my role with the Celo Foundation back in June last year. So currently part-timing with the Celo Africa DAO. Yeah, that's kind of my footprint within the Celo ecosystem currently. But yeah, everything you mentioned is spot on. I was the Celo ecosystem lead for Uganda from 2020 until 2023, whereby I was able to bootstrap in-country go-to-market strategy and also community building along with ecosystem growth. So in a nutshell, that's what my role was as an ecosystem lead for Uganda, the Celo Foundation. Right now, like I mentioned, I'm working part-time with the Celo Africa DAO as the community growth lead, whereby I'm focusing on growing the community around Celo in Africa and getting people onboarded into the Celo ecosystem, be it through hackathons or meetups or university mixers or any community event that we can be able to have a presence in. That's pretty much my niche, and happy to still have some influence and footprint within the Celo ecosystem within the case of Africa. So happy to be on the podcast this evening.
Cool. Thank you very much. I had a bit of interest in several products that you have. I don't know, having read your profile on LinkedIn, I'm interested in the GTM strategy you mentioned for the Celo blockchain. What was that about?
Yes, so go-to-market, it's pretty much how we launch, how a new ecosystem is launched in market. looking at the strategies around everything that goes into building the infrastructure that is going to host an ecosystem. So for me, that's how I actually got into the Celo ecosystem as an ecosystem lead for Uganda. And go-to-market was a key point of our work as ecosystem leads. So back then, we had ecosystem leads across Africa, across Latin America, Europe, and Asia. And all of us had kind of the same mandate. But go-to-market is that you're trying to understand how best you can be able to launch the Celo blockchain within your target market. For my case, it was Uganda. So I'd bring in my local expertise and match that with the essence of what Celo is, and be able to come up with a roadmap and a strategy that can be able to execute an effective launch of the blockchain in country. Which partners do we need? Who do we need to engage? What do we go out with as our message to the general public? How do we roll out and move from 0 to 1? Basically that. So I was interested with the strategy for launching, and this was really at a very difficult time strategically because it was at the time of COVID, whereby there wasn't really any in-person events. Everybody was kind of trying to minimize contact with people. So it was we're trying to launch this very effective blockchain at a time whereby there's almost zero human contact. It had its challenges, but it was also a very good point because we're able to kind of zoom out and block out most of the noise and focus on what exactly needs to go into the works to be able to have a successful launch in country. And happy to report that went well. We're able to launch within with the backdrop of the COVID pandemic, and we're able to get bootstrap a community around Celo for the case of Uganda. This also extended into countries like Tanzania and Rwanda, whereby we're able to also get some overview on that, some oversight on that. And actually, it will be that the work that I did back then is still carried on today within the Celo Africa DAO. And most of the communities that we're able to bootstrap and bring on board are still vibrant, and they're still having this organic snowball effect whereby the ecosystem is growing organically, and they can be able to talk about Celo, advocates for Celo within their ecosystems, and also be able to contribute to the mission that is bringing prosperity for everyone.
Okay. You mentioned the Celo Africa DAO. For those who don't know what DAOs are, could you please explain that to them?
Well, so a DAO is a concept native to Web3, the third iteration of the internet, where blockchains are alive and well. A DAO in full is a decentralized autonomous organization. Essentially, it's an entity that has a life of its own. It's not controlled by any one entity, but rather by a collective whole and consensus. So the Celo Africa DAO is an initiative that we actually brought to life during my time at the Celo Foundation. The Africa team, because the Africa team was myself in Uganda, Daniel in Kenya, and our Africa lead, Aliyu, in Nigeria, were able to bootstrap this idea to have a regional DAO that localizes the efforts to build the adoption of Celo within Africa. So the DAO was born out of that particular idea, and we're able to sell this to the community. We put a proposal on chain, and the community was able to vote for our proposal. So the DAO was able to be launched, and ever since, this is around 2023, we were able to have localized efforts to grow the adoption of Celo within Africa through this Celo Africa DAO. But the DAO is just one entity because there are other regional DAOs. There's a Celo Europe DAO, there's a Celo Latam DAO, now there's even a Celo Thailand DAO based out of Asia. And all of these DAOs have kind of the same mandate to localize the growth efforts of Celo within their various regions. So that's kind of what the idea behind a DAO is, and it's how we are basically localizing the growth efforts for Celo.
Okay. You mentioned something about a robust CICO network. Sounds rather technical. What is that about? In the profile, you mentioned something about you building foundational rails for the adoption. Is that a technical term? Or?
Well, it's more of an abbreviation actually, because CIC is cash in, cash out. Basically, how you get cash into a system and how you get cash out. So it's these networks were pivotal in as far as launching Celo in Uganda or within the region goes, because people want to be able to have convertibility between their local national currencies, their fiat currencies, and Celo digital assets. So Celo dollar, Celo real, or Celo euro, any of these Celo assets. So it was pivotal to get partners on the ground who are exchanges to be able to provide these services that can enable people to exchange between their national currencies and Celo digital assets. And this provided sound, robust on-ramps that are still being used today. People can be able to go between the two ecosystems in national currency, say the Ugandan shilling, and Celo currency, say the Celo dollar, or Celo, the native governance token. And this is really pivotal in as far as having a fluid and organically sound ecosystem goes. And that was kind of one of my greatest achievements while I was working as an ecosystem lead with the Celo Foundation. And I'm still glad to report that these networks and these partnerships are still live to today. People within the community can be able to cash in, cash out their Celo assets, or even get Ugandan shillings for their Celo assets through a host of local exchanges, and also the global exchanges like Binance as an example. So yeah, cash in, cash out.
Okay. I also noticed you mentioned something about fintechs. What role can cryptocurrencies play in the bigger picture? You know, how much room is there in financial technology for cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, fintech is a very wide term, but as you could be able to appreciate that anything to do with financial technology, cryptocurrencies are well suited towards that end on the digital front. So basing or leveraging blockchain technology to be able to kind of ease over some of these pain points that fintech has, maybe if it's geographical limitations of payment systems, if it's high network fees, or even just high costs of remittances. I believe that cryptocurrencies do have a pivotal role in as far as lowering those barriers to entry goes, and they can be able to really help onboard the next million to billion users of any financial technology system. So this is where many of the cryptocurrency systems have been able to find a niche, say Bitcoin, say USDT, say USDC, any of the stable coins as well. They can be able to really fast track the adoption of financial technology and financial technological solutions, such as digital wallets, that can be able to financially include folks who are not financially included prior. So you can look at marginalized communities that may not really be considered as ideal customers or clientele for the established banking system. Cryptocurrencies are a very good way to kind of get these individuals onboarded into a financial system that actually caters to their needs. And I do believe that with all the work that's going into the fintech ecosystem, you can be able to see a lot of progress coming forward within the next couple of years, if not months. Because within my time at the Celo Foundation, we saw a lot of organic shift from regulators and also people who are innovating within the fintech space, trying to see how they can be able to push the boundaries of what is possible in fintech, leveraging blockchain technology. And I do believe that it's only the beginning, with the right regulation on board and the right partners that are going to work towards having solutions that can be implemented in various communities across the globe. We can be able to really see cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology supercharge the adoption of fintech, and also see that these two technologies can be complementary and be able to onboard the next cohort of billion or million users into the financial system that actually has value for them.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the Blockchain Association. You mentioned it in some of your conversations that you shared. How important is it for Uganda?
Thank you for the question, Nick. The Blockchain Association of Uganda is an entity that is serving as an umbrella body for all players within the industry. It's a very pivotal association organization that I actually did play a small part in as far as having it set up in its current state goes. Because while I was working at the Celo Foundation, I was able to get some funding that went towards the professionalization of the association, building out a robust roadmap, getting a constitution, and also kind of getting a manual of operations that can be able to guide its operations into a modern professional association. So if we have it as an entity that is activated, I believe that we can be able to root out some of the bad actors within this space, for the case of Uganda and even globally. And the association can actually become a thought leader, or as would put it within its mission or vision, to become a self-regulating organization, to be able to be a stakeholder within the space and be considered as a valid partner by central government and the Monetary Authority, the Bank of Uganda. It's really heartwarming to see that we have made some leaps and bounds in as far as making the association more professional. We just had a handover ceremony to new leadership. Currently, it's being chaired by the current chairman, Reginald Tumsime, who received the reins from outgoing chairman Kwame Rugunda, who had been holding. He was the initial chairperson of the association, and a lot of work has been done by him and his team. And right now, we're looking forward to seeing how the new leadership can be able to usher us into a new era that has a lot of positive benefits for the blockchain ecosystem. Because if the association is as vibrant as we want it to be, it can really be a very big beacon of hope for blockchain, for the blockchain industry within Uganda and East Africa as a whole. We have a lot of synergies within the region with the Blockchain Association of Kenya, Rwanda Blockchain Association as well. Then also we can be able to kind of have a regional block of all these associations, whereby members can be able to share knowledge, challenges, and be able to lobby for collective regulation and things that can be able to push the needle forward for blockchain as an industry. So yeah, it's something that is really noteworthy in as far as the local infrastructure goes, and having the positive roles that can be able to enable the advancement of blockchain in Uganda. So looking forward to supporting them as best as I can as in my individual capacity, and also trying to help them get to the next milestones as they set them out, and also try to make it more known as an entity within the realm of financial services in Uganda.
Okay. Probably one last question. I was interested in what events in your view, have been important that you've been a part of or have attended. I noticed you mentioned Denver, Kenya. I think there are two particular places in Kenya. Just mention some of the events that you think have stood out, that you've participated in, and why you think those events are important, even locally.
Thanks for the question. Thanks for the question, Nick. So all events are equally important, I would say. Some may have some significance in other areas that others may not, but the general thesis of any event is that it brings people together to kind of share ideas, experiences in real time, and the power of that cannot be underestimated, because there is a lot of synergies that can be harnessed from an in-person event, as opposed to things that happen basically online, or things that happen async, and people can be able to watch recordings after that. The power of an event brings ideas within a single room, and people can be able to tap into synergies that they did not even know existed prior. So I've been able to attend a host of events locally here. We have the annual Blockchain Dev Fest. We actually have one happening this June, I think around 29th. It's really, that one really sticks out on the local calendar, because it brings a host of local developers under one room to really hear about what the various ecosystems and platforms are offering them as builders, in terms of how they can be able to deploy their applications on their chains and what incentives they have. This really has been able to bring forward a new resurgence of vigor within the local developer ecosystem. We're getting a lot of developers coming in from Web 2, coming into Web 3, and they're eager to build on these blockchain platforms. And such an event like the Kampala, the Kampala Blockchain Dev Fest is something that personally really sticks out in as far as my events calendar annually goes. Then if you're looking out into the region, there's the East Safari, which happens in Kenya every September. It's a very good catchment area for Africa as a whole, and also globally, because the attendance there is massive. You have a lot of protocols having their DevRel leads on site, some founders are on site, and you get to ask real questions that are pertinent towards the development of these networks and where Africa fits into that wider puzzle in real time. You can interact with them, get roadmap ideas, get some input, basically get your voice heard and be able to have some input in as far as the future of development of these chains goes. So that's another one. Recently, I attended ETH Denver out in Denver, Colorado, whereby it was really, actually that was my first major event for 2024, and was really a big event in that there was so many players under one room, and you got to experience a host of many of the top protocols pitching, talking about emerging technologies such as ZK Snacks, ZK technology in summary, also in depth, depending on your level of complexity. You get to ask founders questions about different aspects of their chains in real time, grant funding, also job opportunities, because it was like a whole fair that was put in one, fun fair, if I would say, with a host of side events. Personally, this was my first time to attend ETH Denver, but it was really a very good opportunity to network and also make some new connections that I didn't have in my ecosystem prior. And I've also gotten some traction from that as well. So personally, that also sticks out in as far as the global calendar goes. So I'll be looking forward to seeing if I could attend any more ETH events along those lines, because there's really a lot of, I would say, activity happening within the wider Ethereum ecosystem. And it's also open because it's not really closed off, because you can have other chains that are not exactly L2s on top of Ethereum, but they're welcome to also be under the same space. And that gives us an opportunity to kind of assess all the progress happening at the same time. So that's kind of how I feel about these events that I've been able to go to. But by and large, you find that all events, all Web3 events, not so niche as they used to be, because right now Web3 is not really a niche topic. You find that you find the crypto curious there, you find people that want to understand about blockchain, you find media, you find regulators, you find people who traditionally wouldn't be at a Web3 event, but now it's really having a lot more mind share, and that's something that I've been able to appreciate and also leverage in as far as my understanding goes for where the industry is going.
Oh, thank you very much. Very informative. Give us a rough idea. How can people get in touch with you? How can people get access to local events or that kind of information? Or the DAO, at least, the areas in which you have authority.
Right. So for the case of the DAO, you can reach out to us on our X, which is Celo Africa DAO. It's on X. We're just getting the accounts verified. Then also the sub accounts on that, Celo Uganda, Celo Kenya, Celo Nigeria. We also have a presence coming up in South Africa now, also in Ghana. That will be further down. So I would just channel everybody to come to our X account, Celo Africa DAO. There you can be able to really tap into all the happening events within the ecosystem. You get reports posted on there regularly, and any updates that are happening within all 5 countries and Africa at large in terms of Celo in Africa. Then personally, on X as well, Umar_Sebyala, that is my X handle, and you can be able to get in touch with me on there. Be happy to talk about anything Web3 and life in general. Anybody who wishes.
Your LinkedIn also, please?
Yeah, LinkedIn is Umar Sebyala Bukenya.
Okay.
That's it. Umar Sebyala Bukenya.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, giving us an ability to talk to you in your busy schedule. Hope to connect with you in the future for more insights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for hosting me, Nick. It was a pleasure.